Today we're on to welcome Cherie Calbom to the show today. I'm very excited to have her on. She has a newly written book all about seed oils. Right now, this is a very important topic in terms of nutrition because essentially, this is probably the most important thing that we need to eliminate as well, right? There's so many different topics and nuances within there, right? There's a lot of things that are kind of in the dark and people are confused about. So this is going to bring a light to that conversation, also some alternatives. So we actually take control of our health and wellness and prevent chronic disease and become healthiest versions of ourselves. So I'm very excited to have her on to discuss her work and share insights with the audience. So how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for inviting me on your show. I love talking about seed oils because it's something that's very confusing to people, but of great interest. So we're going to dive in and hopefully answer some questions today.
100%. So I'm very curious to hear your story, how you got into the topic of seed oils and the field of health and wellness in the first place.
Well, I got into health and wellness way back in my 20s when I was really sick. I had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia and couldn't work, had to quit my job, move home, sleep 12 hours a day because that's chronic fatigue syndrome. And I ached all over. I felt like I had the flu all the time. It was just a horrible existence. And I went to a number of doctors and no one knew what to do. And they still don't for those conditions. So I thought, okay, I've got to figure this out somehow myself. And something got me here. Something's going to get me out of this dark hole. And talked to people at health food stores and discovered, wow, my diet was horrible. I love junk food, fast food. I like to just go through and get that little bag after work and go home and eat whatever fast food thing I could find. And I hated vegetables and I was a sugaraholic. No wonder I was sick, right? So I got my first juicer. I'm known as the juice lady for a good reason. I got my first juicer and did a 5-day vegetable juice fast. And on the 5th day, my body expelled a tumor about this size, about the size of a golf ball with blue blood vessels attached. So it looked like somebody'd cut them. It's like, wow, that really got my attention. My mother died of breast cancer when I was 6 years old, and I thought, looks like I am definitely have been following in her footsteps. So I thought, okay, I got rid of this. I'm going to wake up tomorrow well. And I didn't. I was on a journey. And that's when I tell people when you decide to make a change, it's a journey. It isn't take these 2 pills and you're better in the morning, or, this prescription and when you're done, you should be about 90% better, whatever. It's not that. It's hitting the cellular level and the root of the problem. And that's sometimes feels like a couple steps forward and maybe a step or two back. But my body was cleansing and rejuvenating. So I kept juicing, but I added in solid foods and thought I got great results in 5 days. I'm just going to stick with this and see what happens. So I went vegan for that summer. Lots of whole grains, ancient grains, vegetables, and seeds and nuts and legumes and lots of juice. And I woke up one morning 3 months later and thought I got a brand new body. I felt just fabulous. That sent me on a trail of saying, this is so powerful. This is what I would like to devote my life to. But who's going to believe a girl who says she healed herself with juicing and changing her diet? So I went back to school, got a Master of Science in Nutrition, and I have been teaching people and writing books. I've written 36 books. The seed oil book, The Truth About Seed Oils. This is my number 36. And I've been studying, writing, and teaching about the power of nutrition ever since I completed my degree.
Wow. That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, as you
Thank you.
mentioned, health is such a personalized journey, right? We all have our own process, our own story we have to overcome. And there's many, things we have to be aware of as well. And seed oil is definitely one of them. Like, what is exactly the problem with seed oils and some things to be aware of in terms of that?
Seed oils are toxic. They're industrial seed oils, if we nail it correctly. They've gone through a big process in a factory that's made them toxic and caused toxic byproduct to be in these oils, which creates a lot of inflammation in the body. So they are processed at high heat to start with, and it's seeds like rapeseed, canola is rapeseed, or soy seed, corn, safflower, sunflower, grapeseed, rice bran, cottonseed, and peanut. Those are the oils that are highly, highly processed and heated to very high temperatures, like about 500 degrees. These oils, or these seeds to start with, have polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are very fragile. They are not durable. Like a saturated fat is much more durable. We've got everything flipped upside down. Everybody was like, oh, no, no, no saturated fat. But they are much more durable when it comes to cooking, comes to heat. But anyway, beyond the heat are chemicals. So they pour in hexane, a very, very toxic chemical, to extract the last bit of oil from the seeds. And then neutralizers, deodorizers, bleaching agents. So now we've got tons of chemicals poured into this vat of, I call it a slurry. It really looks awful if you see any video clips of it. And eventually we end up with a golden oil with no flavor or odor or taste. And that is rolled out to us in plastic bottles. I think microplastics there. And we are told this is heart healthy and good for us. And a number of health professionals that I've read commentaries on said, how could anyone believe that anything going through this kind of high-level processing could possibly be good for us and better than what is actually found in nature? And like the good oils, the olive oil that's cold pressed, like extra virgin olive oil, or avocado oil that's not heated and treated, or coconut oil, which is processed in more of a traditional way. How could we believe these other oils are better than what is naturally found in nature?
Exactly. Like what our ancestors have been using for thousands of years, as opposed to like these things that have been made in the lab relatively recently. They're just a terrible thing to consume. Is we don't really understand that because we're so used to it in a sense.
That's right. We've grown up with it. Everybody's household had a big jar of like Wesson oil or whatever, corn oil, peanut oil, whatever, our families chose to cook with. And we grew up on Crisco for pie crust. My grandmother made her pie crust with Crisco. All of these fats that are so adulterated, they create a lot of inflammation in our bodies. But it's common sense. When I look back on history, in the 50s primarily was when this really exploded, late 40s, during World War II and beyond, and it really exploded onto the market. And when we look back in history and we look at heart disease and the rise, we see a big jump. Like in the early 50s, heart attacks jumping way up from where they had been. And we look back in time when people didn't have all these diseases, and we used traditional fats, the things we were told never to eat. No butter, no beef tallow, no cheese, eggs, no whole milk dairy products, no red meat. Get it all out of your diet. This is the cause of heart attack. But the common sense voices that kind of got drowned out said, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. We've eaten these things for centuries and we haven't had all these problems. And now suddenly we've got all these problems and it can't be that. But their voices got drowned out. Always follow the money. There's no big money behind common sense, usually no big money. And so we saw the continual rise in heart disease with what was called heart healthy oils. And today, are we any better? No. Heart disease is still the number one killer.
Yeah. How exactly did these things get popularized, right? Because we've had many reasons not to consume them. Like, as we mentioned, we've always had like the healthier oils, but then all of a sudden it's public consciousness kind of changed. Like, oh, these traditional things that we've been using, don't use those, but use these instead.
Right. Use this, not this. So it was clever jingles, right? Advertising, a lot of money going into advertising. And at the same time, the government got involved with all the heart attacks jumping way up in the early 50s. And scientists, doctors, physicists got involved. They did the autopsies. They found plaque in the arteries, of course. And in that plaque was fat and cholesterol. So instead of looking at what was underneath that plaque, like why did that plaque form in the first place? Irritation to the arteries that some cardiologists have said it looked like somebody scrubbed that artery with a bristle brush. You know, it's all irritated and red, and it's a wound. And what caused that wound? Seed oils and sugar and smoking all came just like rolling onto the market about the same time. But it was those things that caused the wounding in the arteries, and the plaque covered up the wound, like a scab would cover up a cut on your hand. When it starts healing, you would get a scab. And so nobody really looked at what's the real reason that this plaque was forming. But the government bought into it's called the lipid hypothesis, the fat, lipid means fat hypothesis. And so eventually the food pyramid reflected this, the teachings, the organizations that disseminated information regarding heart disease. Everybody started saying the same thing. These seed oils are heart healthy. Then they were called vegetable oils. We didn't start calling them seed oils until about 2010, which was more accurate. There's no vegetables in these oils, they're seeds. But Jingles, they hired cookbook authors to show the American cook how to incorporate these new modern oils. And we were told they can sit on your shelf. They don't need refrigeration. They're heart healthy, and they're cheaper. Cheaper is good, they said. And there we went down the wrong path in history.
Unfortunately, I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned the marketing, right? Because we all say vegetable oils, but the reality is they're not vegetables, right? They're seeds.
Right.
And it's
Yes.
just marketing. Oh, vegetable, that means it's good, right?
Yes. All in the marketing, all in how things are presented to people. So who doesn't want more vegetables? And the new modern oil that's heart healthy, and you don't have to worry. It's very stable to sit on the shelf, meaning it's very toxic already, so you don't really need to worry about refrigerating it. It's amazing how slick marketing, lobbyists, just the general education, and it changed a whole country.
Yeah.
We bought it. We bought into it.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Now, are the foods bad of themselves, like, or is it just the oils? Because I would imagine, like, these foods are very difficult to get fat out of, right? Which is why you have to do all these crazy steps in order to get processed, right? Now, is it the foods themselves, or is it primarily the oils in a sense?
It's the oils and the processing. In fact, if you took, well, some of these I wouldn't recommend no matter what, and I'm going to go into that in a moment. But if you took some of these seeds, like safflower or sunflower seed, and did a cold press and didn't involve the chemicals or the high heat, maybe expeller press or cold press, you wouldn't be looking at the same kinds of problems. But some of them, like rapeseed, soybean, and corn, are big GMO crops in America. That is genetically modified organism, is what that stands for. And those are known. GMO is known to be carcinogenic and to cause diseases. So I look at those oils, and you can hardly find organic in those three categories. So I look at those and say, I don't see how it could be good no matter what you did. But if you eat the whole food, if you eat sunflower seeds or peanuts, for example, the whole food, the whole nut, the whole seed, you're okay. Here's what the argument on the other side is saying. Well, these oils are rich in linoleic fatty acid, omega-6 fats. We need those. They are very important for our health, and these oils are rich in those omega-6s, and that's true, but not in the ratio we're getting. More and more, like functional medicine, integrative medicine offices can test now for your omega-6 to your omega-3 levels to see where you're really at. Many people come in around 20-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. What does that mean in your body? inflammation. We're way out of balance. We should be maximum 4-to-1. 1-to-1 might be ideal. 4-to-1 is good. Omega-6 to omega-3s, we're way out of balance. 20-to-1 is where most people come in. Maybe 15-to-1 if they're a little more conscious of what they're eating. And that's creating inflammation. And what does that mean for our health? Inflammation is the root of every disease. Every disease. Lots of conditions that Americans suffer from are contributed by low-grade inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation.
Yeah. Isn't the ratios like 100-to-1 or something for these oils too?
Oh my gosh, that would be off the charts, wouldn't it? Oh. But if somebody ate fast food restaurant almost morning to night, and some people do.
Yeah.
They the drive-through for breakfast, they maybe go to a fast food place for lunch. Those restaurants are notorious for using seed oils. And then maybe a takeout or an order in for dinner. They're probably getting seed oils breakfast, lunch, and dinner all day long. And so they might be up in that high range. I don't know. That would really be shocking.
Yeah. I was saying the oils themselves aren't like the ratios omega-3 to omega-6 like 1 to 100 or something in terms of like the oils.
Oh, in the oils, omega-6 to omega-3, yes, they're mostly omega-6.
Yeah.
Oh, and that may be what you were talking about, 100-to-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are not the oils that you would choose for omega-3s. So to up your omega-3s, and how do we turn this around in our bodies? Lots of people want to know, how do I begin healing the damage that these toxic oils have caused? Because they do cause damage in our bodies. So we need to bring down the seed oils in our diet and bring up the omega-3s. Well, what's rich in omega-3s? Certain seed oils like flaxseed oil, hemp seed oil, walnut oil, and walnuts, walnut milk, very rich in omega-3 fatty acids. And of course, fatty cold water fish, of course, wild caught would be your choice, like salmon or trout, sardines. Those also give you a lot of omega-3s. Fish oil. Some people like to take fish oil, and that's going to give you omega-3s. But those, what I just named, are not what people choose a lot to eat. So we're pretty deficient in our omega-3 category. We get little bits from, whole grains, whole foods, but we're getting way too much omega-6. So very important to start bringing that into balance and being wise shoppers, right?
Exactly, yeah. You had mentioned corn, canola, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, and soybean. Is that right?
Yes, and grapeseed, rice bran. I think we got them now.
Yeah.
Of the ones you want to avoid. And sometimes, though, on labels, when you're reading labels, it will just say vegetable oil. That's often a blend of several of these cheap oils, and just blend them together.
Yeah. Makes sense. Quite a health concoction there, right?
Oh my. Yes, a poor health concoction.
Yeah, unfortunately. In terms of alternatives, right? Because we were talking about before how we would use more traditional oils such as olive oil, coconut. Like, what should we be looking for in terms of a healthy oil?
So, yes, we want olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. You can have some sesame oil. People use that usually in small amounts, and it isn't adulterated like the rest of it is. And ghee. Some people call it oil of butter or clarified butter. Those are your good oils and plenty to choose from. And when you start looking at snack foods, because snack foods notoriously had seed oils, like if you get bagged popcorn or chips, crackers, even mayonnaise and salad dressings. But I am so encouraged as I shop these days because I'm seeing more and more snack foods with good oils. There's olive oil popcorn and avocado oil chips. There's crackers with good oils in them. There's avocado mayonnaise. It's just being wise and knowing what we're looking for. You can also go to my landing page. This is the name of my book, my landing page, The Truth About Seed Oils. And there is a link there for a free trial for the app Seed Oil Scout. And that will show you what restaurants, the little map will show you what restaurants in your area are seed oil free, little green bubbles all around where you live. And then it'll show you also anything you want to check on. You have a scanner and you can scan any product that you would look at. So a box of crackers or a bag of chips or whatever you're looking at, you can scan it and it'll tell you what seed oil, if there are seed oils in there, and anything else, any other nasty stuff.
Got it. Awesome. Makes sense. I mean, so more traditional oils, they would have a lot more affinity towards health and wellness, right? Just being able to add to our health instead of take from it, right?
Absolutely. And in fact, I have a reel on my Instagram today at Juice Lady Cherie, Cherie, of the oils that are excellent for the organs of your body. And like coconut oil is so good for your liver. The liver loves to burn the MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, that dominate coconut oil. And so it's good for the liver. And olive oil is very good for the liver, cutting down on inflammation. One thing I learned as I put this together for the rollout today on Instagram was that black seed oil is very good for the lungs. Like if you've had any infection, you have any inflammation left over, you have congested airways, black seed oil, it's rich also in the good omegas, is very good for the lungs. So really interesting. And olive oil is good for the kidneys in that olive oil helps to reduce blood pressure. And that is going to be very helpful for the kidneys. Flaxseed oil is very good for the skin. Not only does it feed the skin, it's also very good for the brain, feeding the brain good omega-3 fats. So there's so many good oils that help different organs of our body and actually contribute to our health rather than harm our health.
100%. Now, in terms of quality, is there something that we should be looking for in terms of that to make sure we're getting the best oils possible?
Yes. So you want oils in glass bottles, dark glass bottles, and most of them are packaged that way. Especially olive oil and avocado oil, which are more fragile. And so you want them in the glass bottles and dark glass bottles. You want extra virgin olive oil. That would be really important. Some of the olive oil that is coming from overseas, like Italy or Spain, can be what they call bootlegged. And that means cut with a cheaper seed oil to bring the price down. So you want now, it's recommended that we get American oil, California oil. I like Bragg's. I believe that is a good brand still for olive oil, and that's the one I choose. So in our book, in the last chapter, we have wise shopping, and I have lots of little tips on what to look for in oils.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, I would imagine, like, say for olive oil, we probably want like a dark glass bottle, like extra virgin and all that, just to make sure we're getting the best quality and we're not getting like adulterated oil, unfortunately, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, everybody well, not everybody, because there are some really great companies out there, but a lot of companies still trying to cut costs, cut corners, figure out where they can give the cheapest thing to us and pass it off as the real deal.
Yeah, unfortunately. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Circle back around a little bit, like in terms of the processing of the seed oils, like what are the processes that it takes? As to my understanding, it takes like 40 to 100 steps, right? Like each one of them requiring their own factory in a sense.
Oh, it goes on and on. All these agents in there, from the crushing of the seeds and the high heat to the hexane and all the different chemicals that I don't know the names of, but even degumming agents, neutralizing agents, bleaching agents, all of these chemicals get poured in. And so many, many, many steps before we get a golden oil. But where it started, if you have any question of maybe I might want this, just think about when it started back at the turn of the century before last, like late 1800s, when mounds of cotton seeds were piling up in the country because cotton was a big crop. And no one knew what to do with these rotting mounds of seeds, cotton seeds. And then they came up with the idea of we'll make oil. Well, the initial oil was dark and smelly, and they used it to lubricate machinery. If we ever had a question, is that what you would want to pour in your body? Machinery, lubricating oil that's just now refined even more so that it doesn't smell and look dark. That is our origin. That is our history of seed oils.
Yeah. It's like just having some awareness of that, of how much these things are. This is the very definition of an ultra processed food. Like it's in all the things you look at the packaging, those are one of the ingredients, right? So it's just like this commonality there.
Yes, and it's used a lot, and it's used because it's cheaper. But people are voting with their wallets, so to speak, and the word is out, and more manufacturers, food manufacturers, are getting with the program and wanting to capture that market. So you're seeing people probably advertising like made with avocado oil or olive oil. And so that is a very good sign. To me, it's very encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. And the more like information we get out there and people understand this, the better decisions we'll make, and then we'll kind of go from there and kind of improve our overall wellness overall for sure.
Yes, I'm very excited. First of all, I'm excited because people are becoming more aware. And that's where it starts. We may not be perfect. You may want to go out to dinner with your friends, and I do, and we don't always choose a seed oil free restaurant because there's still more of the other than not. But we're aware.
Yeah.
So many of my friends and I are aware. And so even if we go out and we're celebrating, or we're having a fun evening and we're enjoying our food, we're still aware of what we're doing. And it's that awareness that is going to really change the landscape of America and the food choices that we have. And, the other thing, I call the oils the silent killers because it isn't when you eat a meal that has these seed oils in it that you feel horrible. You usually don't. Unless there's a whole bunch of refined food in there and there's a bunch of other junk. And then, you may feel not good afterward. But oftentimes people don't. So I call it the silent killer.
That makes sense. Yeah, awareness is the first step to change for sure.
Yes. Well, these oils are linked to so many diseases.
Yeah.
In chapter 2, we've got the science. And not only heart disease are they linked to, but cancer, diabetes, metabolic issues, brain issues like Alzheimer's and dementia, skin issues like acne, eczema, psoriasis, and emotional things like anxiety and depression and even aggression, directly linked to seed oils in these studies.
Wow. Yeah, it's actually getting to that. Like, what are some of the health effects and health hazards that we see when consuming these oils?
Oh, yeah. So definitely there is a link. And so many people are suffering and don't even know why. And the foods that they enjoy every day, from the baked goods to the snack foods, to the takeout or their favorite restaurant, they're getting seed oils. Even plant-based milks, many of them. Like if you go to your favorite coffee place and you order a latte and you feel like you're doing such a good job because you've gone with a plant-based milk, maybe oat milk or almond milk, many of them have seed oils in them. And so not a great choice, right?
Nope, not at all. Yeah. It's kind of an unfortunate sense because there's so many different things that these affect negatively within our bodies, right? It's like, inflammation is one of the hallmarks of chronic disease, and this is definitely a huge contributor to that overall. It's like there's so many different things that go into it, and just being aware of these things is very important so we can actually make better decisions as a start.
Oh, that's where it all starts. I always say when I speak, the decisions you make today, what you put in your body today, how you treat your body today is building your body of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so many people in their bodies of tomorrow suffer because of what they did today. And people that are young think, oh, I can get away with this. You know, I feel good. I'm fine. I've got energy. I'm not sick. But you're building the body of tomorrow at the cellular level. And
Decisions we
how are
make
you going to
today.
feel, right? Down the road, 10 years, 20 years from now, 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, everything we're doing today is going to set us up for success tomorrow or not.
Yes. I'm glad you said success because I've been looking more at even financial prosperity and nutrition. And I've connected with a few people that have a real focus in their business on monetary, on increasing income and entrepreneurship. Where does nutrition and diet fit with that? It has a big place. If we lose our health, sometimes we lose everything, but we don't have the energy and the stamina then to go for our purpose, our mission, what we want to accomplish in life. So it all goes together.
Yeah. Yeah. The more energy you have, the more coherent you are within yourself, it's a lot easier it is to actually take positive action towards the life that you want.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And so many people don't realize that. It's like, are you fogged in? Do you have fatigue? Those two are linked with seed oils, by the way.
Yeah.
And of course, other things, sugar and all the junk food that people are eating, fast food, refined things. But if we're fogged in and we don't have energy, we're just not going to accomplish a whole lot. Think about days where you feel really good. Excuse me, you get a lot done. And other days where, wow, you don't have the energy, you're dragging, you don't get that much done, just trying to make it through the day. What if every day was good or almost
Right.
every day was good?
Yeah. Life should be a lot different for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like as humans, we're so resilient. Like we can do whatever we can do these things, even in the face of like adversity and challenges and all that. However, I feel like we should make the process more graceful, like stack the conditions in our favor to actually live a life that you want, right? Because it's not that we can't, but how will we actually optimize ourselves to get even better and actually feel good within the process?
Oh, absolutely. We want to feel good. We want to sleep well. We want to wake up feeling good. We want to have that energy that we need to get things accomplished and have creative ideas about how to solve problems, how to move forward, how to invest, on and on it goes. But we need a clear mind. You know, the brain is about 60% fat. It's also a lot of water in the
Yeah,
brain, about 70%. So what kind of fat are we feeding our brains? These seed oils are inferior fats. And the cellular wall, the outer rim or portion of a cell is fat. If you have only inferior fat or mostly inferior fat that you're eating, the body is going to use that to replace that outer part of your cell. And so you're going to have faulty cells.
yeah,
And when you start replenishing with good fats, then your body can use those for cellular wall replenishment when it's needed.
for sure. Yeah, because as you mentioned, they make up our cell membranes. Like, out of curiosity, how long these stay in our bodies? Like, is there a certain amount of time it takes to actually eliminate them in a sense?
Yes, they have about a 600-day half life, it's called, about a year and a half, that they hang around in your body. So it's like, okay, start today because things are always turning over in our body. There's always change, always cellular turnover. So you may have stuff hanging around for 600 days, but from this day on, make sure you have more of the good fats and less of the bad fats. And you're going to get there eventually where you're really going to have that cellular turnover in a very positive direction. Another thing I want to point out, we were told that all of these saturated fats, so bad for the heart. Well, the fat around the heart is saturated. C16 and C18, it's saturated fat. And the heart draws on that in times of stress. So coconut oil is very rich in those two particular fats. I call coconut oil not only the slimming fat, but a heart healthy fat.
Yeah. It's interesting how we like do something that has some effect, but then it has all these side benefits, right? As opposed to like the other, as the opposite, like drugs or these oils. So very interesting concept there.
Yes. Well, so many people are relying on drugs because they're sick, they don't have the energy, they can't sleep well. And if they only knew making some simple changes, doesn't even have to be hard, it doesn't have to be drastic. Cleaning out your pantry and making wise choices when you shop and choosing to cook with better oils. Little changes have big results.
Definitely. It's all about progress, right? It's not about being perfect, but making those small steps every single day to get the goals that you actually want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
To my understanding, like when you consume these things, they actually create a compound called 4-HNE, and that kind of has a lot of health effects. Is that right?
Are you talking that's a new one, so you can explain that to me.
Yeah, 4-HNE. It's basically something that I've learned about. It's basically how when you consume these oils, it creates a lot more of that. I mean, I probably should look at it a little bit more, but it basically has the effects that we're talking about in terms of like the free radical capacity and all the inflammation. It's basically creating all that from a biochemical standpoint. So something I was curious about.
That is very interesting, and I will have to look into that more because I
Yeah.
haven't delved into that one yet, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, there's so much that just to learn about within these things. So it's kind of cool. Just like, oh, there's another, right?
Right. Never ending. We're
Yeah.
always learning. I am always learning.
Yeah. And in terms of cooking oils, is there something that we should look for in terms of the smoke point or saturated fat, in terms of the uh, heat stability? Like, is there a difference there in terms of the types of fat in the smoke point?
There is. Smoke point is very, very important. And I have a chart on smoke point in the
Oh
truth
yeah.
about seed oils.
Yeah.
And so we want, I lost you.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay. I can't see you anymore. Okay, I'll just keep going. Sorry, I guess you can edit that out. I hope so. Avocado oil has a high smoke point, and it's great for higher heat cooking. And olive oil and coconut oil, kind of medium high, are good. And ghee is another one. So that is more in the medium high. The smoke point exact points are in our book, The Truth About Seed Oils, but it is very important to be considering smoke point. How many times we've put some oil in a pan on the stove, turned on the heat, turned around just to do something for a minute or two, and you come back and it's all smoking. That's denaturing your oil, that's creating free radicals, toxic byproduct, just that smoking. Think about what these seed oils have been through before they get to you, beyond anything that you would do on your stove. But we do want to be very aware of smoke point.
That's an interesting point there too, as well, because don't these things require very high heat in order to get processed? But yet, like the polyunsaturated fat is very unstable in of itself. So, is it true that these are kind of rancid on the shelf?
Oh, yes, by the time it gets to us, it is rancid. But they have deodorized it, right? They've taken out so much that we don't have a smell. So we don't know that it's rancid. Once in a while, though, probably everybody has picked up something in a package and you can taste that rancid taste. It's
Yeah.
like it's probably been in there a long time. But mostly you don't know when it's rancid because of the deodorization of that oil.
Makes sense. Yeah, to my understanding, like in terms of cooking oils in themselves, like more saturated fat content is kind of more stable and like better to cook with.
Yes, saturated fats are. And if you look at a chemical like organic chemistry diagram of these fats, saturated fat will have a carbon and hydrogen to every link. But with polyunsaturates, there are double links. that have no carbon or hydrogen, double
Right.
bonds, they call them, and those break easily. So monounsaturated oils have one double bond, that would be like olive oil, but the polyunsaturates have two or more double bonds, meaning that they're very fragile, and those double bonds can be broken easily. And when they are, free radicals are created, and those damage our cells, definitely, leading to a host of diseases like lots of stuff I just listed earlier.
Yeah. So it's just the saturated fat has carbon and hydrogen all linked together, right? All double bonded. But then you have the
Yeah.
monounsaturated, which is one single bond, and then you have the polyunsaturated, which mentioned is like the just multiple single bonds. So it's like a lot easier for oxygen to take place and become oxidized, right?
Right. They oxidize very easily and create a lot of oxidized or oxidative stress in the
Yeah,
body from brain to your toes.
for sure.
Lots of oxidative stress. And actually, when, everybody's concerned about LDL and cholesterol numbers, but it isn't just LDL, it's oxidized LDL. And I've never seen a test that differentiates between regular LDL and oxidized LDL, but that's the one to be concerned about. And when you look at heart disease, which is what this seed oil thing is all about, it started with heart disease for its inception of promotion, anyway. It is the oxidized oils that are contributing to that, contributing to all these diseases, including heart disease.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because with the cholesterol, like you said, we have HDL and LDL, but there's a compound that gets formulated called VLDL, or very low density lipoprotein, in the form of these oils, right? It only happens in the form of oxidation, like if I had high blood glucose or high amounts of inflammation, like with these oils.
Oh, yes. These oils are very inflammatory and create a lot of oxidative stress in the body. And so, really, the more accurate markers to know if you have inflammation, if you are heading toward heart disease, would be to measure histamine, LPA, and C reactive protein. Those are far better measurements than cholesterol in the accuracy of telling people if they're heading toward heart disease. And those are created by inflammation in the body, and seed oils directly linked to inflammation.
Exactly. And my understanding is more about the ratios as well, like HDL to LDL. It's like same thing. It's like 1 to 3, I
Yes.
believe, LDL to HDL, and it's making sure those are in the right order, which through a lifestyle.
Yes, the HDL is good, good, good. So oftentimes when you get your total cholesterol reading, it will just give you the total number. And mine often looks a little too high, but then they always look at my HDL and say, well, your HDL is really good, so we're not going to worry about you.
Yeah.
But here's something else that's interesting. The bar for cholesterol measurement has been going down and down and down as to what's too high. Way back, and I forget what decade, but 350 was considered fine for cholesterol. Now everybody goes, oh, that sounds horrible. Then it started coming down 300, then 250, 240, 220, 200, and now they say you've got to be below 200, more like 190. But
Yeah.
numerous studies have been done on cholesterol saying there's no connection. They've done population studies as many people died of heart disease with low cholesterol as with high. And like the Wynn Institute in the UK determined there's no correlation between cholesterol and heart disease.
Right. And there's a lot of benefits to it as well. You don't hear the other side of it. Like, I believe only 10% is actually dietary. The rest our body makes. Like, why would it make
Yes.
it if it's not important?
So important. Well, a good portion of your brain is cholesterol, of that fat.
Yeah.
A good portion is cholesterol, and cholesterol is used throughout the body. It's used in forming scabs. Of course, it's used in forming plaque in the arteries as well
Yeah.
for those wounds. But yes, your body, your liver is going to make it no matter what. So all these cholesterol lowering drugs, what are they doing?
Exactly.
It's not solving, to me,
Yeah.
it's not solving any problems, creating more problems.
Yeah. I mean, the astrocytes in our brain actually make their own cholesterol, right? So it's like, oh, this must be important then, right?
Yes, an important substance that got a very bad rap when they did autopsies and found it in plaque
Yeah,
in arteries and didn't bother to say why would that plaque form in the first place.
exactly. While we're on the topic, in terms of cooking, the cookware themselves, is there something we should look out for? Like, because we're using high quality oils, but is there perhaps a type of material that we should be avoiding or something that we should do instead?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that because you're right. We can be using all the perfect oils and then the worst cookware. So stainless steel is recommended or glass. If your iron isn't too high, an iron skillet. But the non-stick pans, the coating, that is not good. And I have not heard of one. Some companies advertise that theirs better than another, but I haven't heard of one that people really say, oh, well, this is really safe. So nonstick pans I would stay away from. They outgas chemicals. If you cut them, which they often do get little cuts in them, then you get toxic stuff going into your food. So I would stick with real real material and no aluminum pans because that is going to add to heavy metals in your body. So stick with stainless steel or glass or an iron skillet if you don't have too much iron in your
Yeah.
system.
It's the same principle, right? What have we done the longest? Like thousands of years. Like these are the materials that we've used. And
Yes.
again, it's like there's so many different things to be aware of within that, but it's like, what is the most natural thing? And understanding that oftentimes the material will get in the food a little bit, right? So making sure that it's not harming you in a sense.
Yes, absolutely. So much is getting into our food,
Right.
and boy, we don't need extra toxicity going into our food because of our cookware. That's for sure.
Yeah. I just find that once we start to shift our oils from these highly industrialized seed oils to something that is more health giving, like as you mentioned, coconut, we have ghee, we have olive oil, all these things, like we're definitely going to feel a difference rather quickly. And we'll start to be more health promoting everything that we do, right? It's like if there's one
Yes.
thing we should eliminate, it's these seed oils from the nutrition standpoint. There's so many different health reasons why. And just having that awareness and keep moving forward is key.
Absolutely. I have one young woman that I know who eliminated seed oil. She was getting migraine headaches and no one could figure it out. And she eliminated as much as she could seed oils and they went away and never came back. Very interesting. Not everybody has such a dramatic story. There are people who eliminate seed oils and choose the good oils and they don't notice as much. But here's something I want to point out. When you're getting healthier, stronger, oftentimes you don't feel a great leap between last week and this week, but your body is gradually, little by little, making progress. And maybe 6 months down the line, you look back and think, oh, yeah, I'm doing better than I used to. I'm feeling better. I have more energy. I have more clarity of mind. I'm sleeping better. But oftentimes, healing is gradual and rejuvenation and restoration is gradual. So we need to just trust and have faith that if we eat more like our ancestors, some people call that the ancestral diet, we're going to benefit because these are the foods that were meant for our body. Whole foods, real foods, not industrial things that are just spun out of a factory.
100%. All right, Sherry, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you for coming on the show, sharing your story with us, all your insights on seed oils and what we need to know about them in terms of what they are and different health effects, right? Because a lot of information out there, but ultimately, it's not until we put these things into action that we see results, right? So it's basically understanding this on a deep level and then taking action and actually eating real oils, real food, as you mentioned, and then just being able to enjoy the benefits for health, and so we can actually make our dreams a reality in a sense. As we mentioned before, like we have to have the energy and have the endurance in a sense. And this is actually an important part of that. So it's been an honor, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, everybody, come visit me. Get my book, The Truth About Seed Oils. I have a landing page with that name, thetruthaboutseedoils.com. You can go there for a free gift. The 21-day meal plan is free. You can download it. You can get the app, free trial, Seed Oil Scout app. And visit me on Instagram at Juice Lady Cherie, Cherie. I've always got new recipes and new ideas and information coming out every day. So I'd love to
Awesome.
connect. Sign up for my newsletter too. That's free.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.